The first one is placement groups. It's a very small concept only, but in our production environment, so if you are looking for low latency and high network bandwidth between multiple instances, we choose this placement groups option. See, we are nowhere near to AWS data center, and we really don't know how Amazon is interconnected our devices, where exactly they are placing and all. So sometimes if your all servers are running in only one rack, something happened to that rack, maybe power connectivity or network connectivity, and that rack may goes down. So so again, whenever such type of things happen, you are going to lose connectivity. So you really don't want to take such type of scenarios. So in that case, you can choose a placement group. You can ask Amazon to launch all your instances in different placement groups based on your requirement. So if you want, you can ask Amazon to launch all instances as a cluster in a single rack, or multiple racks, or one instance in one rack, another instance in another server rack, basically. So if you have any data center experience, so so the basically servers will place in different racks with different power connectivities. So if you really don't if you didn't get any chance to visit data centers and all, you can do one thing: just take a minute or two and Google data center video is available. So, or I don't think Amazon is not available. So Amazon data center. This is Google data center, but yeah, Amazon, we do not have any videos. So basically, the physical security of the data center, everything is going to taken care by that organization itself, the service provider or vendor. We are the client and they are the vendors. They are going to take care about that. So this is what a Google's data center is, and they are going to maintain different power connectivities and physical security, who can access at racks. So these are all different servers with different connectivities, right? So so these are the racks, server racks basically, and the proper cooling system. So whenever you are using cloud, you really don't need to worry about all these things basically. So Amazon is going to take care. So these are the servers. So now we really don't know how Amazon is placing our instances. So if you have any specific requirements, then you can create a placement group, and Amazon is going to place our EC2 instances based on our requirement. Mainly we have three types of placement groups. We'll look into that now. So here is a placement group option. So creating placement group is free. So where you can find again placement group, whenever you are launching instance, in third step, here configure instance details, you can find an option called placement group. So you can add an instance to a placement group. So if you already have a placement group, you can select that. Otherwise, you can add to a new placement group. You can give a name for that placement group, and here we have three types: cluster placement group, spread, partition. Okay. So again, we have a very simple diagrams to understand these placement groups. So this is a placement group concept. So basically, placement group is useful whenever your instance is required low network latency, high network throughput. If you find these two words in your exam, placement group should come into your mind: low network latency and high network throughput. So first one is cluster placement group. Whatever the instances you are going to launch in this cluster placement group, all instances runs within an availability zone, and if your application required, so like if your application is required like a HPC, high performance computing, so then you can go with this cluster placement group. Like I can say like a big data kind of thing is best for partition. And if you are looking for individual instance failures and all, you can go with the spread. And whatever the server required low latency, you can go with this cluster. That means in simple, both servers may run in same hardware. The data transfer is going to be pretty quick. All are going to be combined. We have a simple image for this. See, this is a cluster placement group within an availability zone. All our instances are going to be combined together. Data flow between these will be 10 Gbps. Whatever the instances we are going to launch within this cluster placement group, will get that as an advantage. 10 GB data flow between these. Again, not over the internet, guys. Both are running on same hardware. They can communicate via switch. So that is a cluster placement group. The second one is partition placement group. This is best for big data kind of applications like a Cassandra, SDFS, such type of ones. So this is the best mechanism. So you can create multiple partitions. Okay, these instances into one partition, these instances into another partition, this is into another partition. Okay. Again, one placement group, one partition. You can basically you can create a maximum of 7 partitions in an availability zone, and it cannot span across the multiple availability zone. That means if your instance in AP South 1A, you can create and you can run AP South 1A instances only in this placement group. You can add another availability zone instance to this availability zones placement group. So it cannot span across multiple availability zones. And every partition is going to have its own power connectivities. It's going to have its own power connectivities and network connectivities. Okay. And when coming to spread placement group, so basically these all instances are going to be placed in different spread placement groups. So in simple, it is going to run in different racks. This instance is in one rack, this instance is in another rack, and every rack is going to contain its own power connectivity and network connectivity. So that is a spread placement group. You can understand this image. This is one rack, this is another rack, and here within a rack we are creating partitions and we are launching, and here we are tightly coupled all the instances and we are running our application. So this gives low network latency and high network throughput. Partition is a logical partition groups, and Hadoop, Cassandra, Kafka, HBase, SDFS, such type of file systems, distributed file systems, you can go with that partition. And spread, small group of instances which runs in different hardware. So again, I cannot demonstrate that. So in simple, while launching instance, okay, add instance to a placement group, create a new placement group and give a placement group. For example, so this is, let's assume this is application 1 placement group, and if you want to launch under the spread mechanism, select spread. Or if you want to launch under partition, select partition. How many partitions you required? So as we discussed, 7. And even clusters also 7. These partitions, it supports 7 in availability zone, and these clusters also supports 7 in unavailability zone. So you can select this, okay, I want to run all these instances in partition 1. Distribution, auto distribution. Again, when I'm launching another EC2 instance, if I want to launch this to partition, then simply select add to an existing, select this partition 1 and launch the instance. Remaining all options are same, guys. You are not going to get any additional option. But in simple, Amazon is going to place our instance, or they are going to combine, or they are going to choose on what hardware our instance need to run. Okay. So you can design your applications by using these placement groups. So like based on requirement, low network latency, high network throughput, or tightly coupled or loosely coupled, or you're looking for one rack failure up and also you want to sustain, then you can go with this option, right? So again, if you want to create manually and if you want to launch, just go to placement groups option, create placement group, give a name, and pick the strategy, then click on create. One placement group got created. While launching instances, launch instance, I'm going to select Amazon Linux 2, T2 Micro, and here I'm going to select add instance to a placement group. To an existing placement group, I'm going to select this. So then click on next, 8 gigs, click on tags, select security group. So I'm going to select an existing security group, review and launch. Any new option? Again, can I view this where Amazon is launching that? So we are just trusting this mechanism and we are launching. So we cannot see, we do not have any option to see that, or it's not visible thing. So it is running in a placement group. In future, if I want to launch any instance in the same placement group, while launching itself, I need to select that option. So add instance to a placement group, existing placement group, I'm going to select. So spread placement group, then again same options. Now the advantage is whatever the instance I'm going to launch in future, that can be communicate effectively with these instances which are already running in placement group. Okay, so that is a placement groups option, and we have another option like the capacity reservations. While launching itself, you can find this capacity reservation. So you have a requirement like you want to some reserve capacity in one of the particular availabilities, or in AP South 1A, you want to reserve some capacity. Then you can create a reservation. So what type of instances you want to reserve in this particular, for example, I want to reserve T3 micro. So you want to go with the EBS optimized instance or instance store. Do you remember this? What is the disadvantage with this instance store?
We cannot reboot.
We can reboot.
We cannot stop it.
We cannot stop and start. Sure. Launch EBS optimized, what platform you required, what availability zone you required, tenancy, you want to go with the dedicated tenancy or shared tenancy, how many quantities you want to reserve. Again, based on your soft limit, you need to. Till what date you want to reserve? Till a specific date, or manually you are going to cancel this reservation. Instance visibility, you can pick targeted, or you can just go with the open, then click on request reservation. So Amazon will keep this instance available for you. Again, you need to launch it under on demand only. The pricing mechanism, everything is in on demand. So you know the reservation, right? You know what is reservation? We can reserve our capacities. So whenever you reserve, you can go through that or you can skip that. But you are going to get charged minimal cost for this, whatever the one you are going to. So again, based on our soft limit, if you want to know your limits, here is an option. Go to limits, and what is your limits and all, then you can. The reserved capacity is charged at the selected instance types, on demand rate when the instance is in or not. So we even have regional reserved instances. For example, I am running couple of applications in Mumbai region, and in future I'm going to launch couple of more instances, like 2 or 3 instances in Mumbai region only. I'm worrying about usage in Mumbai region. Many guys are launching all servers, so whenever you are trying to launch, it is saying, okay, there is no capacity available in Mumbai region, switch to any other region. Yes, sometimes we face that issue. So in that case, You must launch another instance in another region. So latency also increase and all. So instead of that, we can just reserve these capacities. Okay. So again, don't create any reservations. It is going to cost us. So, but just remember, we can reserve capacities based on our requirements. So that is another option. So then we have elastic beanstalk application. So any questions on this, guys? Placement groups or capacity reservations? Yes.
If we launch the instances without placement groups, so that can we apply the placement group policy?
Okay, so your question is, can we launch an can we add an existing instance to a placement group? No, we cannot. While launching itself, you need to specify in what placement group you want to run your instance. Technically, there is no direct option, but if you think logically, you can stop that instance, you can create an image. From that image, you can launch a new instance. You can disassociate that elastic IP address, you can associate to newly launched instance. From that image, whenever you are launching now, you can associate that. But there is no direct option to add an existing instance to a placement group. You cannot go somewhere and you cannot modify and you cannot choose that option. That is not available. Any other questions, guys? And remember, it cannot span across multiple availability zones. Now, I created one placement group and one instance is running in AP South 1A. If I am explicitly selecting AP South 1B, I cannot choose that placement group. So we may end up with an error. So it cannot span across multiple availability zones. So that means one instance in 1A, another one instance in 1B. So I cannot. By end of that, creation, we are going to end up with an error. So it spans availability zone. You can even read that things here. In simple, Amazon logically combines some instances and it is going to place in different racks, nothing more than that. Any other questions, guys? No? Okay. So now we are going to discuss with the elastic beanstalk application. So basically, this elastic beanstalk comes into platform as a service. Okay, so here is a elastic beanstalk application. Basically, it comes into platform as a service options. So this platform as a service means in simple, you are going to get an entire platform, pre-designed platform, and simply you can deploy your code there. For example, you have a PHP application you already designed and you want to deploy that application to in AWS environment. So you are a developer and you really don't know how to create instances, load balancer concept, which one you need to choose and how to configure that load balancer and how to configure auto scaling groups. You are not good at these things. You are just a developer, you know how to write your code and all. So in that case, you can just go to Elastic Beanstalk, provision your required platform, deploy your code, upload your code, that's it. Your application will be delivered. In future, if you have any updated code, rerun that code again and modify whatever the modifications you did, zip that, redeploy that code again, immediately updated changes will come. So And due to some reasons, if one instance is terminated immediately, we are going to get another instance, and that is going to deliver your application. So if you're a developer, if you really don't want to learn or if you don't want to perform operations like a launching instance, making it as a web server, configuring load balancer, configuring auto scaling group, instead of performing all these things, you can go and pick Elastic Beanstalk. Again, you may get a doubt why we learned all these. But we have many limitations with this Elastic Beanstalk. So you cannot run multiple applications in a single instance. So there is by defaultly, you cannot manage OS level operations. If you are going with default options now, you cannot even log into that OS also. And we have limitations to selecting the operating system. Based on the selected platform, we are going to get the environment. So if you want to deploy PHP, yes. If you want to deploy Python, yes. But if you want to deploy like any different programming language application, first of all, we need to look whether it supports or not. If it's not supporting, manually, again, you need to go with EC2, you need to configure that. So mainly in CI/CD concepts, we use this Elastic Beanstalk, continuous integration and continuous deployment scenarios. We'll use this, so we'll discuss these things. So here is a Elastic Beanstalk application. So we can easily deploy, monitor and scale an application quickly. So click on get started. Now it will ask us, okay, what is our application name? So whatever application name you want to, PHP application. Now, what is a platform you require? So this Beanstalk supports multiple platforms. So it supports only these platforms, guys. If you have any other programming language than this, it will not support. So if you want to deploy Go language, .NET or Packer Builder, Java, Node.js, Ruby, PHP, Python, Tomcat, then only you can use this Beanstalk, otherwise you cannot use this. So I have a sample PHP code. So I hope you know this GitHub URL, right? So here you can find a couple of repositories and so just okay, this is AWS Code Pipeline S3 1. So you can fork this basically. So it will come to your GitHub. And one quick question now. So have you registered to the Git and Jenkins course, guys? Everyone? No? Seems you guys are not following my LinkedIn or not YouTube. I posted. Now it's a paid course, Jenkins. Okay, I'll quickly generate, if you're not yet registered, I'll quickly generate a URL and I'll give it to you. So Git is free actually. So still it is free, but Jenkins one is paid. And Linux, everyone? Okay, if not, I can't do anything. Make sure you drop an email. So when I generate a new coupon, definitely I'll share that. Okay, so okay, you can fork this code or you can simply click on download zip. So one zip file is going to download and that is going to contain a sample code. So simply you can use that. Okay, so okay, so now this is going to create with sample application. But instead of sample application, if you already have your code, so what you can do, you can simply, so I'm going to give a name, AWS EBS Elastic Beanstalk. So then I'm going to unzip all this data. Okay, so this is what my sample file, and it is going to deliver, it is delivering this file. So now at first I'm launching sample application. So then click on create application. Now we are creating an environment with all the default settings. And in backend, one security group is going to create, one EC2 instance is going to launch, one S3 bucket is going to create, one auto scaling group is going to create, and as I select a default option, the auto scaling group desired count is going to be 1. So when desired count is 1, if we terminate that existing instance, what will happen? Immediately it create another one. And the newly instance will get the code from backend S3 bucket. We are uploading code in a minute or two, so the newly launched instance automatically get code from that that environment. So you can create multiple applications also. I'll quickly show you those options. So create environment, so web server environment, web applications, websites, HTTP requests. So I'm going to select that. So then here, what is the domain name you want to give? For example, I want to deliver my application with avinash.ap south1. Check the availability so I can use this domain. Then pre-configured platforms here. What platform you require? So I need a PHP platform. Do you want to go with the application code sample application? Or you want to go with the existing version? See, I already created one, so you can go and pick that, or else we can go and upload our code. So I have a sample code here, and I'm going to zip it. So if I open, again, we should not have this nested folder mechanism. So we should get all in direct zipped file. So make sure if you open that zip, it should show that files. If you open zip, if it is showing another folder and all, you are going to get forbidden error. That is a known issue with Beanstack. Okay, so open all the files, select and make it a zip. So here is my zip file, and I opened and I'm able to see all the files. Okay, so now I'm going to upload this code here. Or if that existing environment is completely prepared, you can upload there itself. So this is prepared and it is in OK state, and this is what my current output is. Sample page. So now I have a code, a sample PHP code, and I want to deploy this code into my Beanstack environment. So here this platform is running with Amazon Linux AMI PHP 7.3. So did we selected that? No. We have not selected to choose Amazon Linux AMI version 2 and PHP 7.3. So if you want to change, you can change that. But again, it is going to create entirely new environment. This is the most recent version. So if you want to go with, you can go with the old versions also. So we are going to get some downtime. Okay, now click on upload and deploy. Where is our file? So just go there. Select your zip file, click on deploy. So now this is going to update with newly deploying content. So it is going to take a minute or two. Once that is completed, it is going to create. Let's navigate to EC2. One instance is there here. We have one instance, and this instance did not contain any key pair. So when we don't have any key pair, can we get connected to this instance? No. So remember, whenever you are using Elastic Beanstack application, you cannot manage OS level operations. By defaultly, you cannot manage operating system level operations. For Elastic Beanstalk, as well as we have another service called RDS, Relational Database Service. There also we cannot manage. Okay, so remember these two. So if you want to, you can redesign this environment and it will be. So now this new application is deployed. If you go here, if you give a refresh, there you can see. Now you perform some modifications on this code. For example, so this index.html is there, and I'm editing this. So I'm changing this. I'm saving it, and I'm going to create a zip file. Here is my zip file. Okay, here is my zip file. Now what I'm going to do, this is what my existing file, and as I perform some modifications to my application, so I'm going to redeploy that zip file. Click on deploy. So immediately new code is deploying into my Elastic Beanstalk application, and that is going to delivered via this URL. Again, you can map your own domain name instead of this URL. That is what our next topic. Tomorrow we are going to start with Route 53. So there we are going to say this. We got the updated code. So where that code is storing, for example, due to some reasons, if this instance is down, due to any reason, I manually terminating it, guys. I manually terminating it. So it is shutting down. Immediately what happened to this instance? So this application is going to be down as backend instance is terminated. This environment immediately change its health status. Now it is showing as okay. Then it is going to change its health status to pending and unhealthy, and immediately that is going to trigger an auto scaling group. See, the site is down, can't be reached. Immediately this auto scaling group will verify what is our desired count and how many we have at moment. Activity history. So what is our desired count and how many we have. So when it is analyzed, it analyzed the instance and desired count is varying, count is immediately it is going to launch a new EC2 instance. See, it is launching a new EC2 instance. Again, the new EC2 instance should get code from that. It should be delivered same data as our existing Beanstalk instance, right? So those all data actually stores in backend S3 platform. So in S3, when you create Beanstalk application, you are going to get a bucket. See, on December 3rd at this time. So here is a zipped files. Which file is uploaded at what time and what is the version of that? So at 8.9 one file is uploaded, at 8.11 one file is uploaded. If you open this, if you download and if you view, so it is same as this uploaded file. So whatever the new instance we are going to get, that gets the updated version automatically and it is going to deliver that application. So in a minute or two, when this application environment change its status, then it will deliver that file, it will deliver that code. Okay, so it is a completely automated process. So less manual interventions, you can simply just zip it, zip and upload that code and it will be delivered. So again, can I run another application on another port number and all? So no limitations. So again, by defaultly, we cannot log into this instance also. But if you want to go to advanced settings and if you want to manage all permissions, yes, we can do that. So let's quickly do that. So I'm creating environment, web server environment, click on select. Here, whenever we are launching, we have an option, configure more options. So far, we just clicked on create environment only. Now I'm going to select PHP. So as we already have some versions, so do you want to get all code from that existing versions? You can get that. So upload your code. You can upload your code from your local file. While launching itself, I'm creating a new environment now. So while creating environment itself, I can browse my code and I can click on upload. Now the zipped file got uploaded here. So if you click on create environment again with all default options, but instead of that, go to configure more options. First one is single instance. Single instance means our auto scaling group is going to create with the desired count as a 1. If that instance is terminated, immediately you are going to get a new instance. That comes under free tier eligibility. The second option, single instance using Spot. But again, you know the mechanism, right? When it is spot, you need to bid your price. If it is matched with that, then only we are going to get. The next one is high availability. When coming to high availability, see when you select this single, observe these values. Environment type is single instance, on-demand instance, T2 micro. When we select high availability, see this, we are getting a load balancing and auto scaling group and on-demand instances. Okay, so the scale between 1 to 4 instances is auto scaling group. If you want to modify, click on modify, load balancing or single instance, you can select that. So I want to go with the load balancing. What is your minimum count and what is your maximum count? I want to scale between 1 to 4. Fleet composition, I want to go with all on-demand instances. Otherwise, you can combine purchase options on demand as well as spot. Set your maximum price for your spot instance and number of on-demand instances you required. So same auto scaling group will run with on-demand instances as well as spot instances. So if you want to go with only on-demand, select on-demand here and go with the default option here. So again, what is the instant type you required? Earlier, we do not have all these options. It is going to pick all the options automatically. So you can select your required one. Again, I really don't require, so I'll go with the T2 micro. Then availability zone. In what availability zone you want to run your application? So we are going to scale between 1 to 4, right? If you want to run all your instance in only one availability zone, any one availability zone or any two availability zones, you can pick two. Or if you want to run in all three, any three availability zone, your instance, you can select that. Now, how you want to scale your instance? What metric you are going to take? So you can take all metrics same as our auto scaling group: network, CPU, disk. So network in and out, or if you want to go with the CPU utilization, what is the statistic? Minimum CPU utilization is this percentage for this particular period. So then what is the upper threshold, lower threshold, how many instances you want to launch, and you can select that and you can configure it. So your application is going to scale between there. So if you want to go with the custom configuration, you select all your instance. You can select all the things manually. So what is the security group you want to? And by default, we did not get any key pair. If you want to associate under security, go to modify, select your key pair. Then if you want to associate any of the roles, associate required role, click on save. Now, again, I'm going to select single instance, T2 micro. I've selected custom. See, I've selected custom configuration and T2 micro on-demand instance, single instance. And I associated a key pair and I associated a role. And if you want to monitor, basic monitoring is enabled, and updates related to this OS updates, at what time you want to look for updates on this machine, you can configure that window. And notifications, if you want to get any notifications, you can configure that. So if you want to run this instance in a particular VPC, in a particular subnet, you can even select that one also. Then database, if you have any database, you can add the database also here, that we will discuss in our RDS. Tags, notification, you can just go here to what email you want to get notification, you can give that. So we are selecting all the options manually, then create environment. Now one environment is going to create with defined settings. So while creating itself, as we associated one key pair, so what will happen immediately? We are going to we can access our instance to OS level also by using the key pair. So that is a bean stack. Immediately another instance is going to provision. So everything. And remember, whenever you deleting this elastic bean stack, all the associated resources are going to delete. The instance and the security group Elastic IP address is going to create, that is also, except S3 bucket. S3 bucket, you need to delete it manually. And sometimes you may end up with an error while deleting your S3 bucket. So in that case, first delete the bucket policy. Go to permissions, bucket policy, delete the bucket policy, and then try to delete that bucket. And have you observed we got these new options, access points. So securely we can provide access to our private subnet EC2 instance. So this option basically introduced, you know, AWS reInvent session. So did you get any chance to attend any of the reInvent sessions? I mean virtual. AWS annual conference is happening, guys. They're introducing lot of new services. So I believe yesterday is Andy Jesse's, that CEO's keynote actually. So I believe you can recap that. So you can look for AWS reInvent 2019. So reInvent 2019. So this is keynotes. So you can go and you can even pick live streams also. We still have one more day. This is December 2nd one. This is Andy Jesse's. It's already completed. So then December 4th, today. So this is what is going to happen. Global Partner Summit. So many partners will come and they will give their success stories and all. So some good companies, how they used Amazon Web Services. So you can just pick this, and even on 5th also we have some. So you can just take a minute and you can just go through this Andy Jesse's. He introduced a lot of new services for Fargate and Kubernetes, SageMaker, and even for our instance also, like automated templates, automated image. There is no option automated image earlier. So, but they introduced day before yesterday. So again, so I need to update with those services. So exactly same way, we got a couple of new options like access points. This is also introduced in our yesterday only. So you need to get update with the technology, guys. Always. Okay, so immediately another environment got created with all the required settings, and if you go here, if you observe, so that another instance is created with key pair, so you can log in to the EC2 instance. So in simple, without a lot of efforts to infrastructure provisioning efforts, we are, if your concentration is on developing your application, then go with this Elastic Beanstalk. It is going to cost a bit more compared to EC2 instances. Why? Because it is a fully managed service, and we cannot perform a lot of customizations. Mainly OS level customizations, Amazon will not allow for this Beanstalk application. That is the main concept here. Okay. So again, make sure you terminate your environment once you're done with your lab. So terminate environment. Again, don't terminate instances here. Again, it is going to create. So make sure you terminate your environment. Whenever you are terminating, you must give your environment name here. Then it is going to delete automatically. So terminate. And another one also is creating. It is taking some time. So once this is completed, you can delete this environment also. So you can just download that code. Here is a one, GitHub, and go to repositories. So just go to repositories and AWS code pipeline. Just go here, download zip file. Okay. So the material I'm sharing, no, that is from AWS Labs. Where is that? This is the one, AWS Labs. So easy to document Linux, AWS course content, CLI cheat sheet, everything. So in the same itself, we can find that. So this is the one. Okay. So with this topic, we have done with the EC2, guys. So I have a quiz document. So I'm going to share this, but do you want answers or you want to test yourself? You don't require answers? Sure. Okay, you guys are going to come up with all your answers? Test. Okay. Okay, then give me a minute. Oh, I think I don't have any backup copy for this. I'll create a one. Couple of things you need to do with R&D, and couple of questions related to that answer may involve with another service. So don't worry about such type of questions. So do some R&D and try to try to answer as many as you can. And don't to Google help and all, test yourself. Test yourself how good you are with the topic, how um, how easily you are able to answer that, how you are applying your learned technology here on this question. So most of the questions we already discussed. So, but some, yeah, I'm only telling you it involved with different services, like a couple of with VPC, one or two with the import and export service related ones. So such type of questions, yeah, you can, but and make sure you download this into your local machine. So total, I believe 45 questions or 46 questions, 48, 49 questions. Okay, so till 40, concentrate here. So auto scaling group supports which of the following plans for auto scaling groups? Manual scaling, schedule scaling, and dynamic scaling, optimistic, predictive. So you know this, we discussed this. Elastic load balancer support which of the following types of load balancers? Cross region, seriously? Okay, I'm not going to ask you now. So you just take some time and try to answer these things. So here is a URL and I'm pasting it in our chat box. Okay, make sure you download this into your local machine, guys. And this is one thing, and yeah, try to answer those. So before starting Route 53, so we'll quickly recap EC2. And I'm expecting most of the answers from you guys. Okay, so and if you have time, you can continue. Otherwise, you can leave the session if you really want. Okay, I really don't have any issues. So okay, so first of all, how many types of instances we have? Not individual instance types. Like we have instance categories, right? On demand based on pricing. On demand. What is the mechanism for this on demand? The pricing mechanism? Pay as you go per hour or per second or per minute or per second with minimum of 60 seconds, some instances per hour basis. Okay. So do you need any contract or sign with these for to get on-demand instances? No contract, nothing. The second one is scheduled reserved instances. In reserved instances, we have scheduled reserved and total 3 types available. What are those? Standard reserved, convertible reserved instance, and scheduled reserved instance. Guys, you should have all this in your mind. Again, what is the pricing options we have available for this? If you want to purchase an instance under reserved category, we have 3 pricing options. What are those? We discussed with EMI example. We discussed with EMI example, guys. Full upfront, partial upfront, and no upfront. Are you able to recall this at least? What is full upfront? You need to pay 100%. Partial upfront, 30 to 40% now. Remaining monthly basis, how many hours you are running in a month, you are going to get charged for that. You need to pay for that. No upfront. No initial amount, but capacity is going to reserve, and by end of the month, you need to pay for that. Then we have spot instances. What is the mechanism for the spot instances? We need to bid the price. Again, what are the applications you are going to take help to bid the price? Check pricing history, yes. Pricing history, and you can go with the spot fleet also. Spot fleet also help us. Okay. So then tenancy. We have shared tenancy and we have dedicated tenancy. Okay. So can you quickly tell me EC2 instance isolation isolation steps? First layer is, what is the first layer? Physical hardware. What is the second layer? OS? Firewall. What is the third? Security group, customer 1 security group, customer 2, customer N security group. On top of that, instance. Seriously? Virtual environment. On top of that, what is the hypervisor Amazon uses? What is the hypervisor Amazon uses? Right. Classroom guys. Zen hypervisor. Then we are going to get our EC2 instances. Multiple customers are using same hardware. Shared tenancy. One individual customer is using a hardware but without visibility and all. shared instance, dedicated instance. With visibility, who can apply licenses at hardware level ports or core, CPU cores, dedicated host. Dedicated host is going to be cost high, dedicated instance cost is going to be low, but in both scenarios that underlying hardware is not going to share with any other customer. Okay, this is a tenancy, right? So we have shared tenancy and dedicated tenancy. Now we have mainly two root device types. What are those? Root device types. Root device types. EBS volumes and instance store volumes. Instance store volumes, and we have EBS. Why it is not recommended to use instance store volumes? We cannot perform stop or start. Can we reboot?
Yes.
Yes, we can reboot. So what is the disadvantage with these instance store volumes? The disadvantage is whatever the data you are going to store on this instance store is ephemeral data, temporarily stores. Where the hard disk exists, this instance store, the hard disks and everything will exist on this hardware. It cannot move, it cannot be available. Once instance is stopped, it will come out from this healthy hardware, so it cannot communicate. So that is why instance store, also called as ephemeral storages. Ephemeral means temporary, guys. Okay, so Amazon criticized a lot, and production systems and everything you cannot run with this instance store, as you cannot start and stop. If underlying hardware failure happen, you are going to lose all your data. Okay, if your organization already using any ephemeral storages, if you want to convert that to EBS, we have third-party applications. One of the widely used one is NetApp. Okay, okay, now let's come to EBS. EBS stands for elastic block storage. How many types of volumes we can use for root? Volume. Root volume. So total we have 5 categories under EBS. How many you can use for root volume and what are those? Okay. General purpose. The API code is GP2. Then provision. Provision IOPS. What is the API code? IO1. And what is the third one? Magnetic. Only these three we can use for root volume. That means for C drive. What is another two? Throughput. Optimized. SDD. What is the code? S? 61. What is another one? What is the API code? See one. So general purpose, what is the minimum size we can provision under general purpose? What is the minimum size? Quick guys. We discussed, I've written all these things and I asked you to read that comparison chart also. I clearly written all these things. So it is not a new topic. Minimum volume size is 1 GB, maximum volume size is 16 TB. For provisioned IOPS, minimum volume size is 4 GB, maximum volume size is 16 TB. And for magnetic, it also called as, it is also referred as standard, and minimum volume size is 1 GB, maximum volume size is 1 TB. For throughput and cold SSD, what is the minimum volume size? Minimum volume size is 500 GB, maximum volume size is 16 TB. The same for this one also. We even gone through a couple of questions just on these EBS volume types. So you can understand the importance while designing a solution. This is for all general loads, mainly for dev environment. This is for production environment, and this is for cheapest cost, and this is for big data kind of environment with high usage, and this is same as throughput but low usage and low cost. So if you not yet completed, so spend some time aws.amazon.com/EBS. Go here and try to read that comparison chart. Okay. And what is the maximum IOPS we are going to get? 16,000 is the maximum IOPS, but best performance will come to 10K. If you need more than 10K, go with the provisioned IOPS. What is the maximum IOPS we are going to get here? 4,000 IOPS we are going to get for provisioned. So no IOPS not applicable for magnetic, not applicable for throughput and cold SSD. For throughput, by default we are going to get 500 IOPS. For cold, we are going to get 250 IOPS. Okay. So, what is snapshot? Copy of EBS. See, copy means the file type and everything is going to be same. For example, you have an Excel sheet, you have a copy of that. So that copy will contain any different format. Then how you are referring that copy word? Copy is not a proper word. It is a backup. Snapshot is a backup copy of our EBS volumes. The backup copy of our EBS volumes, where it stores. And what platform it stores? What platform Amazon uses to store all our S3 snapshots? S3. Amazon uses S3 platform to store all our snapshots. And what is the mechanism the backup happen? What mechanism uses? Incremental, differential, full, partial. What backup mechanism it uses? Uses incremental backup mechanism. What are the changes happened from previous snapshot? Only those changes are going to be saved. So it uses incremental backup mechanism. Okay. So if you want to copy a volume to any another AWS account, what is the mechanism you are going to follow? Can you directly copy a volume? Then create a snapshot. Then share the snapshot with another AWS account user by giving his 12-digit AWS account ID. Okay. So can we share an encrypted snapshot with another user? Encrypted snapshot. Yes, but not default encryption one. Default encryption only you can decrypt. If you are using any custom encryption mechanisms, you need to give permissions on KMS key, then you can share it. So remember, most of the times we don't prefer to share. Like it will not allow us to share if the snapshot is encrypted with default encryption. Okay, and if volume is encrypted, snapshot also encrypted. From that encrypted snapshot, whatever the volume you are going to create, that is also going to be an encrypted one. Okay, and what is AMI? AMI stands for Amazon Machine Image. So what is AMI? AMI is nothing but an operating system which contains required application services to run our instance. Simple, it is OS, operating system for our instance. Okay, that is operating system. So golden AMI means customized operating system. If we create our customized settings. So again, AMI will contain backend snapshot. When a snapshot is associated with an AMI, you cannot delete that. You cannot delete that snapshot. You must first deregister your AMI, then only you can delete that. And if you want to copy an entire instance from one region to another region, you can create an image, then you can copy that image to another region, or you can share that image to another AWS account user. Mechanism almost same as snapshot. Okay, so that is golden AMI or image option. Okay, so what is ELB? Elastic Load Balancer. How many types of load balancers we have? Classic Elastic Load Balancer, Application Elastic Load Balancer, Network Elastic Load Balancer. Okay, I have an application which is using legacy protocol and I want to migrate that to my AWS environment. So which load balancer I need to choose? Which one I need to choose? I'm talking about legacy protocol. It is a legacy protocol. If you're not sure about those protocols and all, go with the classic. Application load balancer, what protocols it supports? HTTP and HTTPS network load balancer, TCP, UDP, TLS. These protocols network load balancer supports. So classic, it supports HTTP, HTTPS, TCP, or any other legacy protocols it supports. Okay. So how many types of deployment options we have for this load balancer? This deployment option means in simple, internal and internet facing. You can run load balancer within your VPC environment or across the globe over the internet. Okay, and make sure you practice at load balancer at least once or twice, end to end. So then we have auto scaling group. So auto scaling group mainly involved with two steps. The first one is launch configuration. Second one is creating auto scaling group. So here is like we are going to give all the settings, templates, when a new instance is about to launch, what settings we need to give and all. Then when do you want to scale up, when do you want to scale down, those all settings we are going to configure in our auto scaling group. 9 o'clock one? No, this is existing one. Please stay outside. Okay, and what is metadata URL? slash latest slash meta hyphen data. What is the Linux instance? Make sure you add girl. What is the URL for user data? Same, give user data here. So you know the metadata and user data, right? User data is nothing but Bootstrap script. You can pass all the commands whenever you are launching your EC2 instance by using user data. Metadata, we can get information about our running EC2 instance by using this metadata option. So like a public IP address, private IP address, security group ID, instance ID, AMI ID. So those all things you can get by using metadata URL. And then using roles is always secured compared to configuring CLI. Make sure use roles instead of CLI, instead of configuring CLI. Okay, and you know how to create a role, right? So again, what level of permissions we are going to get is like it comes with the associated policy. What policy you are exactly associating, based on that you are going to get the level of permissions for that role. And can we attach a role to an existing EC2 instance? Yes, we can. Yes, we can. We can associate a role to an existing EC2 instance also. You can associate, you can disassociate. And mainly, whenever you are working with systems manager, make sure you have appropriate role, then only. And what is a basic monitoring interval under CloudWatch? Basic monitoring interval under CloudWatch, 5 minutes. What is detailed monitoring interval? You can reduce the granularity to 1 minute, but it costs us. What is a metric we cannot monitor by using default metrics of CloudWatch? CPU. Somebody said CPU. We cannot monitor memory utilization by using default metrics. So if you want to monitor memory, what do you need to do? What we need to do? Go with the custom metric option. We can get the custom metrics by deploying get custom metrics by deploying unified CloudWatch agent. Okay, so deploying that. Even can we get our custom, can we get our application logs into AWS environment? So you are running some application within your EC2 instance, your own organization's application, and you want to monitor and you want to run some scans or you want to filter some logs. So you want to get all the logs to your AWS environment. By using CloudWatch agent, then you can get all the logs to CloudWatch log screen. Then you can deploy, you can copy that to S3 bucket, you can export. There you can run multiple tools, your Redshift or any business intelligent tools. Then you can get all the reports. You can even make it available to different applications like a Splunk and all. Okay. So Beanstack and Lightsail, you already aware about that. Okay, so that's it for this session, guys. So any questions for me? And make sure you complete that EC2 quiz. So I hope you have that URL, right? And for our next session, we are going to start with Route 53. So navigate to freenom.com, purchase a free domain name there. They will give free domain names. So purchase a free domain name. But you know, it's not going to be that much fancy. .coms, .ins, .nets is not available. .ml, .xs, different, but that's not a big matter for us. So get your free domain name from Freenom. Why? Because in our next session, we are going to start with the Route 53, right? So that's it for today's session, guys. So see you again tomorrow.